everything, whatever we say, will be on the Facebook live stream is the pre-show.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the pre-show has started.
right. Thanks, Richard. Oh, and one thing is that we shouldn't have our phones, and I have it mine on too, not on this table, because sometimes
okay.
it makes things start buzzing. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, YouTube
Okay.
has accepted the stream.
Wonderful.
Facebook has accepted the stream. Anybody, I have to send you the link.
Oh, yeah, you have to send me the link. Thank
Okay.
you, Richard. My brain, I'll tell you, it's been a lot going on.
I'm hearing that more and more these days.
Oh.
It must be the news climate we live in.
Yeah, there's a lot that people have to worry about now. But it's the wonderful and the terrible side by side every day and intimately connected.
Sent to you just now via
Okay.
text message.
Very good. Wait. Okay.
All right. Can I reset the timer?
Okay, so we're ready to roll when you're ready.
Okay, Vicki, watch the timer, and when it says
Okay.
on the air, you'll be on the air, okay?
Great. Thanks.
You're on the air.
Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded here at Think Twice Radio in the home of the future, also the home of our friend and producer, Richard Wicca. Thank you, Richard. And we thank also our friends at WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station coming out of Buff State. Thank you so much, Greg Harvey, and all of our friends at WBNY and at Buff State. And when I think of thankfulness, I think of our indigenous friends, of our BIPOC friends, of people really anywhere and everywhere who know that thankfulness and gratitude is so important no matter what we're dealing with and all the things that are going wrong. There's so much that we can be grateful for. And we are here still on Haudenosaunee land, Seneca, or as they call themselves, the Anundawaka nation, on their land that was taken through trickery and violence. And in spite of all the hardships that they have endured, as our black and brown friends, people of color, and others also know about that gratefulness, that thankfulness. So the Haudenosaunee start all of their events with a Thanksgiving address where they thank the people that made it all possible, which is what we're doing now, and thank Mother Earth for giving us everything we need for a good life here, which we do have those things still so far. And the living waters, Mini-Wachoni, water is life, all the wonderful plants and animals that give us so much in every way for our very sustenance, for our medicine, for our nutrition, for the trees that give us the very air we breathe and hold the world together here in so many ways, give us so much beauty and inspiration and help in so many ways, homes. And then, of course, the sky world. So brother, sun, grandmother, moon, and the whole sky world. And then, of course, the creator and the love that animates it all. And then after that, then they say Yahweh, which means like glory to the creator, or really like Ashe or Amen, Amen, Amen. And then the people would say Nyo or Je. So I'll say Yahweh and you can say that. So Yahweh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a familiar topic that we just want to get updated on. It's very, very crucially important topic to restore Humboldt Parkway. So this is the Restore Humboldt Parkway update. I was blessed enough to be at an event that we just had going on at Buff State. Yes, thank you to our friends at Buff State. It was the women's and gender aspect that was focused on. So there were 5 wonderful women, and 2 of them are here in studio with us to do this show right after just doing another speaking engagement. So we're very grateful to Dr. Jennifer Roberts. Jennifer, so thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me here.
Well, Jennifer, I'm very excited. We'll also talk about your book. I know you've studied on public health and health disparities, which figure very hugely in this restoring of Humboldt Parkway, and your wonderful book that you wrote that is Buffalo's Emerald Necklace. So I'm very excited to talk with you about that.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for doing that. And then, of course, we have Dennice Barr, friend of the show. I know you've been on the show. I don't think you've been in this studio, though.
Not in the studio.
Yeah, but everyone knows Dennice Barr.
Mama Barr.
Yeah, Mama Barr is involved in almost every or virtually every kind of activist area that there are, and there are so very many, but they're all interrelated and interconnected. So thanks, Dennice.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So we're so grateful, and this topic is just so important, and although it's been controversial, I think it's so obviously a slam dunk. So when we think about restoring Humboldt Parkway or about the whole issue with the 33, I want to ask us to go around and talk and just think about, like, what values do you think of in connection with this topic about restoring the Humboldt Parkway? So, Jennifer?
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to start off. And to be even consistent with how you open the show, there's a 7 principle belief from the Haudenosaunee people, which believes that how the earth has been given to us, or how we can be stewards of the earth, we should not damage it, or we should preserve it at least for 7 generations.
Right.
And so when you think about the Parkway and how it was built, it was taken away so abruptly that, only a handful of generations were able to pretty much enjoy it. And so if we think about it in that broader sense, restoring it could kind of like be a testament to that Haudenosaunee principle of the land in which it really sits.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you for that. That is so beautiful and so important. Yes, absolutely. And we'll be hearing some more about that because of the time element in some of the questions or false claims or something. Yeah, so that definitely comes in. And Dennice, what's some value or values that you think of in connection with this?
For me, it's always prioritizing the health of people. And that's something that the state has failed to do. When you talk about, wanting to see, improvements in the city, all of that is great, right? I mean, yes, we want to see development, but at what cost? We don't want our children to be suffering with asthma. We don't want our seniors to be suffering with COPD and living in Cancer Alley for the benefit of, seeing the city with the development that it's done. And we know very well that the planning of the city, the layout of the city has been not great in the first place. And so it affects everybody, whether they think about it or not.
It absolutely does affect all of us. And I want to say the things I think of, I'm going to use my tried and true usual because they always apply. Truth and love. The truth of the matter about the Humboldt Parkway. So there's things that are being claimed that are not strictly true, or they're not the whole truth. And there are things that are being ignored or not brought up by certain people because they already have an agenda. And that agenda is not about the benefit to people in the community. It's about saving 5 to 10 minutes on your commute.
Right.
You know, 5 minutes, saving 5 minutes at the cost of what? At the
Yep.
cost of who? Of whose health? Of whose community?
Right.
So that's the truth of it. And then the love. We love makes me think of the you've heard, you know, this one of my favorite chants that we do at Jim Anderson. Jim Anderson and I really put this together. And it was 1, we are the people. 2, we love each other. 3, we will not let them wreck our planet. Well, we love each other, and that is what drives the activism. That's
Right.
what I know we just talked about it when we were just at
Absolutely.
Upstate. Yeah, it's all about caring for each other. So people first.
Yeah.
People on the planet first.
And we understand there's a cost. There's a cost to everything.
Sure.
So, you know, if we're willing to sacrifice people, if we consider people in some zip codes to be collateral damage over the benefit of others, that's not right. There's nothing right about that.
Nothing right at all. Nothing right at all. Every life, reverence for life.
Yes.
Everyone's life. Everyone's life. Absolutely. And especially when people have paid so deeply for so long. So let's get into this some more. So for those, and now some people will have watched, some people will be, who are watching this will be very well informed about the issue, but because some people may not know the first thing about it, let's just sort of start with the beginning. And I know, Jennifer, that you are both of you, very well schooled to sort of bring people up to speed of the basic situation that we're at right now, to sort of summarize where we're at.
Well, we pretty much are at a crossroads of starting all over to see what options that there are on the table for what to do with the 33. A highway that has exceeded its expiration date. It's beyond its maturity. It's falling apart. The retaining walls are falling. And so something has to be done. And so we're at a crossroads of determining what the people want. Do you want a full restoration? Do you want the proposed tunnel that DOT had proposed? But I believe that when a lot of people realize the benefits, the social benefits, the public health benefits, the economic benefits of fully restoring the Parkway, they'll come to understand that that's a benefit for all of us. And I also believe that those benefits also might come with some mild to moderate sacrifices. But those are sacrifices that all of us, it's not just one. I think about Heather McGee's book, The Sum of Us. It's not a one-sum game.
That's
We
right.
all have to collectively. And so the East Side has been burdened
Right.
by decades
Yes.
with this highway and all of the health implications that have come from the placement of this highway, which has pretty much bifurcated a community.
Right.
So this is something that all communities have to look at and recognize what is the overwhelming benefit to not just the East Side, but to the whole entire city for fully restoring the Parkway.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, I would say for those that don't really know, they're not really, aware, maybe they think, like we were talking about earlier, it's their problem, it's not my problem. Well, the reality is that for wherever they've held these meetings outside of our city, whether it's been in Amherst or Williamsville or wherever, the reality is that it's everybody's problem. Because
Yes.
what's affecting us in inner city is going to be affecting you as well. Maybe you're not living in Cancer Alley. Maybe, you're not having your children play outside and worried about them getting asthma. But at the end of the day, if it's not affecting your health in terms of where you live, it's going to be affecting other things like the economy, right, of where you're at. It's going to be affecting a number of things. When we look at the racism that has been involved in this situation, environmental racism, if you don't care anything about anybody else, let me say it this way. if you're okay with getting in your car and driving through inner city and keeping, going on the expressway and leaving all of us behind, if you think that when you leave us behind, you're also leaving the health effects behind, you're badly mistaken, because that's not how this works.
Yeah. Air pollution moves.
Yes,
You know.
in real time.
Yes.
Well, I didn't introduce myself, and I have this bad habit, but I've gotten better about it ever since I started to reclaim my teenage nickname of Victory. And people say, "Oh, you can't call her Vicki anymore." No, you can call me Vicki, or you can call me Victoria, which is my given name. I love to be called Vicki. I don't mind it or one single jot. But I love to bring up about victory because when I was teaching peaceful conflict resolution to kids, I would say, well, I didn't like my name Victoria because it sounded so self-centered. It means the victorious one, so it's like, and until I realized that the real victory, everybody wins.
Yeah.
And so when I use this for teaching peaceful conflict resolution, and the kids get it right away, but a lot of the adults do not get it right away.
Right.
We think it's a zero-sum game. Let me grab mine first because I'm
Exactly.
afraid, it's the scarcity mentality. And it's a lack of awareness that, if you cut off your thumb, does your whole hand hurt? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You can't, it's not separated. There's no
right.
separation. We are all interrelated and
That's right.
interconnected. So there are the what happens, as you said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The racism in this Parkway
Yeah.
was very clear from go.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that we just talked about in that again, that Church Women United and a network of religious communities was very happy to put this out to show that, there were articles written by the Church Women United that specified at the time that it was being considered this is a racist proposition. It's not fair to the community.
Right.
Right? And it went through anyway. Well, now we're in a different place and time, and it's not serving people this rush. So one of the things I thought of when I asked you like what your discipline was. So because regional planning is part of, like urban planning and city planning. They know that walkable cities, we've learned that there are things that
That's
help
right.
cities and things that hurt cities, living spaces, to be happy or not happy, healthy living spaces. And one of them is all this rushing around that we do, not having a good public transportation system, which also came up aplenty. So I just want to say, let's go around about that of really how everybody is affected by this. So I'm going to say, I think we just mentioned a few things, but let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you have cities that are planned in such a way that they have more of an open concept where there's space for the cars, there's dedicated space for cyclists, dedicated space for pedestrians. It's just a healthier planned city,
Right.
and it encourages human-powered movement, which is great for many aspects, great for our health, our physical health, as well as our mental health.
Right.
And it allows us to not be so tethered to cars, like being able to say, okay, maybe I can walk to the dry cleaners, or maybe I can, walk to this destination as opposed to jumping in a car. Also, when you have a very more pedestrian-centric, it also works very complementary with public transportation.
Right.
And so when you have all those elements, it's just a healthier planned community for not only the humans in it, but also for the overall environment, because you have less tailpipe emissions.
That's right.
You may have, if you think about it, say you have a city bus that's diesel or electric, which would be even greater, you could have a city bus that could replace, maybe 30 single passenger cars, which would reduce the air pollution because all those people could be on the bus. I mean, there's just so many ways that when you think about like how we plan our cities,
That's right.
it can really improve the health and well-being of humans as well as the earth.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
So,
Jeez.
you know, there's a double-sided coin to this, right? Because if you don't really care about the fact that I live in Cancer Alley and that we are more likely to die young, do you care about the cost of your health insurance? Do you care about the cost of your health care? There's a reason why that's rising the way that it is, right? Because
Right.
we have more people that are coming down with these illnesses, with cancer, with COPD, with asthma, with all these things, and that's affecting the cost of your health care. And so those things tie in
Absolutely.
together. In
Absolutely.
addition to that, you know, when you're talking about communities, I'm told that there was a time in my community when you had everything that you needed. We were self-sufficient. We had the butcher shops and the bakeries and the whatever and the whatever. And what happened? All of that got destroyed. Even if I talk often about the economy of Genesee Street. I'm told that that was a thriving business area. And then when they put in this expressway, they crushed it. And it's never been able to come back.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so when you're talking about people traveling in through the city, that brings the draw of, you know, beautifying, that brings the draw of wanting to add businesses, that brings the draw of people coming back and looking at things in a way that they hadn't before, seeing possibilities of where they could grow the economy where they weren't seeing that because they were just rushing by.
Exactly.
Right. That's so big. And the one thing I want to mention, so these are ways that you know, our solution, the solution of filling it back up and making it the Parkway again, what that would solve. And one of the things that also happens is that the proposed plan, there's all kinds of problems that they do not solve and that they don't address. So
Exactly.
the idea that, first of all, they're only going to make that tunnel to be a very short couple of
Yes.
blocks. You know, and those couple of blocks, then when you have 3 feet of soil, you know, the roots cannot go very deep. And then the other thing is about the maintenance of the
That's
upkeep.
right.
So it's in a big emergency now, and because they didn't do what they should have done, so the things are leaking. They have to do something soon, and so P.S. that is going to come back again.
Yeah.
So they'll have
That's
the
right.
new tunnel. Then they'll have maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, that they'll have to do it all over again to dig it all up, take it all down, put it all back up again
Yep.
in a way that, you know, so that it just doesn't make sense. Whereas the beauty, can we go around talking about the emerald necklace?
Yeah.
The emerald necklace, please. And your
Yeah.
book, please,
Yeah.
please tell us.
So the title of my book is Buffalo's Emerald Necklace: How Environmental Racism Devastated a Community and Destroyed an Olmsted Treasure. And even though Boston often uses that moniker of Emerald Necklace, I really do believe that Buffalo, in fact, had the closest semblance of an emerald necklace when Humboldt Parkway was intact, because it almost made a full circle. And of the parkways, Humboldt was the grandest. It was more grand than Chapin, Lincoln, and Bidwell. It was, 2 miles long and several hundred feet wide, and it just had this beautiful bridleway down the middle in between these trees, and the tree canopy was just brilliant. And to be able to take that walk from Delaware Park through, the canopy for those 2 miles long and reach MLK Junior Park, it's just something that is just, I'm sure it was breathtaking. I never experienced it, but my
Right.
mom always talked about how wonderful it was to do that with her father on Saturday morning to go to the Science Museum. So it's something that everyone can enjoy. I mean, imagine being able to walk from Lincoln or the Parkways on the west side, then get to Delaware, and then continue on Humboldt. I mean, that would be a privilege for everybody to be able
Right.
to have that that asset again.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it would be so.
Yeah, I mean,
great.
if it's great for other cities, if it's great for other neighborhoods, why is it not great for mine? You know,
Yes.
this is a thing that irks me. And there's no denying the fact that, when the communities were intentionally cut off, the devastation that was brought on again was because of the bad city planning.
Right.
We see, how there have been businesses that have just died off. There's no economy there. Communities like mine that had been shut down. I was telling somebody earlier, I had an argument one time with somebody because they were saying, "Oh, you're going to put in a park, and then who's going to maintain the park?" And I'm like, when you put in a park, it's a park. It's
Right.
not like when you're talking about putting in the tunnel and then they still got to spend over $1 million a year just to maintain it. Once you put in the park, yes, it'll shift it a little. A little. There'll be, a little bit of cleanup, but
Sure.
it's a park.
Mowing.
It just
Yeah.
stays a
You know,
park.
yeah,
you
I
have to
don't
mow,
understand what the
yeah, do
problem
different
is.
things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just kind of funny because I understand people have a hard time, thinking about it in that way. But I think that, you were talking about future generations and what is the benefit for our children that are to come. My grandson was just born. He's going to be 3 weeks old. I mean, yes, it was a badge of honor for my kids to play in the street, and to be able to say that's how they came up we say we're fruit belt strong. But that doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that we don't deserve to have what everybody else has had.
Right.
Well, one thing I need to say, and I have been blessed to have nature around me in many of the places that I've lived. I've lived 33 different places over my life, but a lot of them, some of that is, I mean, is it by design? Certainly for my parents, that was by their design. For myself, I've tried to, and it's partly about. Well, we were just talking about redlining, economics. There's all kinds of things.
Right.
But all I know is I know it deep in my heart and soul. I feel it all in so many ways of how much nature is a great relief for people. And
Absolutely.
and Olmsted knew that, and that was why he was such a an activist, really, and he was interested in people's well-being, and he
Right.
knew that in that time that people living in the city needed the nature. People in rural areas have other problems, and
Yes.
there's other problems. But at least they have that aspect of nature, because
Yes.
nature can renew you. Just what we were talking about with the indigenous Gnoño, which when they do it, they really go into
Yes.
depth. You can, naming all the trees and, naming all the different animals, plants and animals and everything, because they do give us so much. Because
Yes.
the wildlife and the wilderness is such feeds our soul. So we need that, and we need it in the city every bit as
Absolutely.
much. And that's where the parks are for. That's what parks are for.
Yeah.
So that people in the city can go and be in the nature and really enjoy it. And everyone benefits from that. Back to how we're all connected. People are saying, oh, is when there's more crime. What is the crime about? The crime is about
It's
poverty.
always about
It's about
economics.
poverty.
Yes.
And it's about violence.
Yep.
It's about government sponsored violence,
Yep.
which is another one of our campaigns. And it's about not having those as a dearth of I just lost my train of thought, actually, because I just saw that we do have a comment from John Campbell. Are we aware that the charging stations for electric are run with diesel fuel? So no, I was not aware of that, but I do know that we have a lot of work to do, and I know there's going to be the CCLPA, of which this was very much a part. They're at the state level, they're waffling on that,
Yes.
and they're trying to back out of having to do the things that were democratically determined to do through the CCLPA that we will all benefit from. Even though there are some upfront costs, we know that this fossil fuel addiction that we have is costing us mightily. It's what all these wars are about, besides the power mongering and trivia and malignant narcissism of he who shall not be named. Besides all of that going on, it's also about the oil. That's what we
Yes.
see. Where do we go and attack people? Where they've got some oil that we want.
Right.
Hey, how did you get the oil I want?
But
So
here's
I'm
the thing
taking-
that drives me crazy, right?
Go ahead.
I say to people all the time, if we go and invade any other country and
It's
we
illegal.
but wait,
Yeah,
if
go
we go and like if
Yeah.
you've got this thing, right? If I take it from you, why should she have to pay for it for me to for someone else to get it? If we're confiscating oil,
Right, it's stealing.
it's stealing.
stealing.
But we're taking it. So now we've got this extra because we've confiscated all of this oil, but we're going to turn around and we're going to sell it to the people.
Right.
Why am I having to pay for something that you just went and took?
So what you're actually bringing up is, and we could go
I
quite
know.
far in this direction, because you got me on my topic of international law, which I really like to
know.
talk about. Really, really love
But
to
it
talk
irks
about.
me,
because
right?
it's so illegal. It's blatantly illegal, immoral, foolhardy, and completely criminal.
Yes.
What is being done
Yes.
at the helm of this country right now?
Yes.
However, bringing it back down to
There we go.
this here, to the Parkway system. But it is all interrelated, and
Absolutely.
interconnected. So it's that might is right. So they have the might to change their minds. Have Kathy Hochul wants to change her mind about the CCLPA. No, we as a community decided on it. We got it passed in the legislature. So to try and renege on it now, and back to we are all our interests and our issues are all interrelated and
Absolutely.
interconnected. So I want to first of all, I want to share this. The East Side's great opportunity. A life or death urban design issue. Full restoration of Humboldt Parkway could look like this.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who can't see it, who are listening on the radio, you will know. Just let me say, just picture the most beautiful, trees beautifully lined up that are creating their own community. And now we know that trees do share resources and everything like
Right.
that, and help each other and keep each other going. So there's ways that we will all benefit
Absolutely.
by getting rid of that piece of and it doesn't have to be everything, but just that very key piece that was the Humboldt Parkway,
Right.
to fill it in, and then let people enjoy the park.
Exactly.
Let people use the traffic studies that have been
That's
done.
right.
Brad Wales and them have done a super duper job, and it's well laid out in the East Side Parkways Coalition's
Right.
website. All the research that has been done to show that there won't be any problem with those ancillary
Absolutely.
roads taking up all the traffic that would have come down the 33.
Absolutely. Well, we know our population has dropped. We
Right,
know that
right.
there's a big fragment of our population that don't have cars anymore.
Right.
So that all adds to, it's a no-brainer of why would you not want clean over, the destruction that we've been
Right.
dealing with that's been causing all of this pollutant and all of this physical harm.
And back to a well-planned urban environment being a walkable, livable, breathable, healthy, slower paced, and more, as you said, with walkability being good,
Yes.
for people who can ride a bicycle. I'm barely,
Yes.
not really one of them. I'm
And
sorry
to
to say, but
increase that the biophilia, I mean, I think there's an interesting irony when we think about the nomenclature of all of the Buffalo Park system pieces. So, Olmsted originally called Delaware Park the Park, and MLK Park was called the Parade, and
Yes.
Front Park was the front. But I think what's interesting is the nomenclature of the parkways. So, you have the Bidwell, Chapin, and Lincoln, war heroes or what have you. But the beautiful irony is the Humboldt Parkway was named after Alexander von Humboldt, who is considered the father of ecology, and he believed in the
Really?
human interconnectedness of humans with nature. But equally important, he was a staunch belief in racial equality. He was
Yes.
very much a man before his time. I mean, he was born in the mid to late 1700s.
Where?
In
know?
well, it was Prussia, so Germany. And he wrote so much that he abhorred slavery. He wrote he wrote a letter to Thomas Jefferson saying, "You need to do something about this."
Wow.
And then on his dying, in the the later years, because he lived well into like about 1850s, 1860s, I think 1859 or something like that. There was an interview with him with New York Times, and he believed, like, he was an abolitionist, but I think what makes him unique is there were a lot of abolitionist Quakers and everything, and they were abolitionists because they did not believe in slavery, but they did
Right.
not necessarily believe in equality of the
That's
black
right.
people. So there's a distinct difference where Alexander von Humboldt was saying, he made this quote where he said, America can never achieve her beauty until the black man, I don't think he used the word black, but whatever the
Right.
nomenclature of that time
Right,
was,
right.
will be equal with the white man. And I think there's such an irony with that, in the sense that that's what he named,
Right.
and that's on the east side where you have 80% about black Americans, and that was the grandest parkway that had that yielded the most nature, so to speak,
Right.
of all of
Right.
parkways. And it's almost would be a testament to Alexander von Humboldt if it was fully restored, because he did believe in that connection of nature with humans. And I've always thought about that, because, I mean, I didn't learn about Alexander von Humboldt until the last few years.
Right.
But I think there's a really interesting irony with that.
Yes. Well, it's all the more reason for us to proceed, and
Absolutely.
get our way. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And, I always talk about, me being an elder now, I think about the trauma that our elders, before me had gone through, because you had this gorgeous parkway, you had these trees that had been imported for this parkway, and then the devastation that they had to have seen. And it wasn't just that they saw it for a day or so. They had to live with that for as long as it was sitting until the process was done, where you get this expressway now. So when we talk about generational trauma, we never talk about what our elders had gone through during that time frame, and how it had to be. I mean, I think about when I was traveling not too long ago, a few years back. I think I was in I was in Philly. And anyway, we were in a park where they were taking the parkland out. It was an area that was reserved for a children's spot where, it was like a children's clubhouse. And they were taking it out. And the trees that had surrounded that building, that had the prayer ribbons that had been on them for generations.
Oh, boy.
And they had leveled those trees.
Oh.
And literally trees that probably stood about 7-8 feet tall. And even where they had leveled them, you saw the stumps come up about 5-6 feet, where they were
Wow.
sitting.
Wow.
I mean, for me, that was traumatic.
Yeah.
Just to walk around and to see that kind of devastation for the sake of, we have to have a new field for kids to play soccer. No thought at all about, the indigenous people that had still been on that land using those prayer ribbons to go and have a space where they could practice their own beliefs.
Right.
You know, I think about that all the time. We never talk about that, and you know how that has affected our communities as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I want to say that the trauma too of just living by that cavernous, dangerous, high speed, loud
Oh yeah.
thing, loud polluting thing.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got the danger. I mean, there's such a weird feeling in that. It's like, call it like a canyon, because it is like this big gash right through. And so there's all these fast moving cars
Yeah.
and all the noise of the cars and all the that we have a kinesthetic spirit, so that's one of the reasons why people love to watch dance. If they like to watch dance, people will watch dance because kinesthetically you're feeling it, right? So when we're feeling what those racing cars are doing as they're racing down the thing and making all that noise and giving all that pollution, and you can't get from there to there because there's this great big cavern in
Yeah.
between you. And then to put a little Band-Aid over a little tiny bridge of it,
Yes.
and then for 3 feet of, that is a very, very temporary.
Yes.
So it means that it's going to be faced again
Yeah.
Yeah.
and again
Yep.
and again, and ripping it all up, and all the expense and all the
That's
trauma
right.
again of your house is next to this
That's
heavy
right.
duty construction again. It just doesn't work.
No.
It just isn't right. It
Yep.
not right. It isn't good. It isn't healthy. It isn't sensible economically, environmentally,
Yeah.
and
Socially.
socially to
Yeah.
the people, to
Yeah.
the community.
Imagine when
Yes.
you could walk across the Parkway to your neighbor. Now you
Well,
don't even know who they are.
Let me tell you,
yeah.
in the time that I've been living in my house, I have heard, walking from my house, I have heard car crashes twice. You hear the sound of that. You know what that is,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I don't want to see it on the news. I don't want to hear about it. Not because I don't care about the people that probably died, but just, knowing that it was right there. There's nothing that I can do to help.
Yeah.
It's literally like just a block away from me. There's nothing I can do to help. But just even hearing the sound of it, the impact is so traumatizing.
Yes.
That when you hear
Exactly.
it, your mind takes you to that place, and after that, I can't even
Yeah.
watch the news to hear about
Your
it.
stress hormones go up.
Oh,
You know-
absolutely.
And that's
Right.
that's a feature of nature. The research shows that your stress hormones go down when you hear sounds of nature.
Yes.
So now imagine if you're hearing sounds of a crash.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
complete opposite.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so that if and when we restore the Humboldt Parkway, and then you have something like this that you're walking down with
Yes.
the tree, the beautiful green trees, and watching them through all the changes that we have of our 4 seasons,
Yes.
and getting to walk, be with your family on grass.
Yes.
It's just, and I mean, there can be, well, they call them victory gardens or community
Yeah.
gardens. So many wonderful uses for that land,
Yeah.
and just finding ourselves a different way.
Absolutely.
We have to prioritize people and the planet, and this plan doesn't do anything.
No.
Doesn't do
No.
the plan that they've cooked up with a little Band-Aid, and then they say, oh, that's what that original. That's the other thing they
No.
say when they say that the what do they call it? Restore our community.
Well, I mean,
rock
knowing
Yeah.
that I
they
have.
they said oh, because they were told, and I love the way India brought that up in
Yeah.
the thing,
Yes.
that they were told from go, you're not getting that. We have the
Right.
park, we have the expressway, and that's what we're going to have.
Yeah.
So the most you could get is, if you're lucky, you might get this little Band-Aid.
Right.
So then it's back to that very racist the environmental racism that dictated that. Like, it's more important for the people out in the burbs to get there 5 minutes faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And
It's
also,
so wrong.
I know that I have more days behind me than I have in front of me, right? Now I have this grandson. My children had to play in the street. How much would I love, even if it was like 2, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, but still, he's going to be 3 weeks old. How
Right.
much would I love to be able to know that I don't have to walk, I don't have to see him play in the street.
Right.
I could
Right.
see, I could take him
Right.
to that park that
Yes.
is a short distance from my home. Literally, I could take him there all the time.
Right.
You know, why do our kids have to be out in the street? Why are they subjected to that just because of their zip code?
Right. Exactly.
There's nothing right about that.
And also, how much we would benefit Buffalo from having our intact, even in some, let's say, superior, actual emerald necklace that would really be
Yeah.
a full emerald necklace. People can benefit. I mean, as for tourism, for people who want to, walk
Sure.
Yep.
in the city, for any of us who are either wherever people live,
Yeah.
we will all benefit. And back to the way that we all suffer when we
Yeah.
suffer.
I
Yeah.
mean, if people were willing to go to J.B. Wiley when it was the rock pile in my neighborhood, do I really think that people will not come to this park?
Of course,
You know,
they
if it's created and it's in my neighborhood, do I think if they were willing to go there, they won't go there? No, I think it's like the movie, right? If you build it, they will come.
Of
Yes.
course they will.
Yes.
Of course they will.
And I think they will stay. When I mean that is, the cities often complain that, you just kind of have this continued exodus of the younger population. They'll come here to grad school or go to school and they continuously leave. But with this, I forget the name of it, the latest generation, Alpha, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
whatever they're calling it now. Yeah.
this latest, they don't like cars. The
Right.
way they want
Right.
walkable communities. So
Exactly.
imagine being able to retain some of those students who come to school here and say, hey, I can settle here. I could actually
Right.
settle on the east side.
Right.
And imagine, I mean, we would still have to deal with issues of possible gentrification, but that's another whole
That's
radio
a whole
show.
Right, that's
conversation.
another-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
we could
That's
do
another
that
whole
one, too.
radio station.
Yes.
But imagine being able to keep a portion of those students and those young people who come here to study or come here or even the people who grow up here who say I'm going to stay,
Right.
Yeah, but I would remind people, right? Like, my neighborhood was, predominantly white. We've always had what I had a reporter ask me one time, like with the gentrification piece. How do you feel about white people coming back into your neighborhood or coming into your neighborhood? I was like, we've always had white people in our neighborhood. I don't know what you're talking about, right?
Right.
But I mean, I think it's understanding how to again build smart communities.
Right.
I don't have a feeling of, people shouldn't want to live in my neighborhood if they can afford to, if they're coming because they really want to invest in the neighborhood. I appreciate that. We've always had white folks in our neighborhood. My folks are not scared about that, but come in because you want to be part of the neighborhood,
Yeah.
not
Right.
because you want to take it over.
Right. Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I want to mention one of the things that's been so clear to me, and actually I'll never forget when I was doing some canvassing for someone we were just talking with, when it was the person I was talking with who had just moved to Buffalo, and they were like, what is it with the east side, west side thing? And they're saying about in terms of trees. They said, like, you can just see blatantly where there's that line. The biggest thing, so yes, we have this very
Right.
segregated city that we have, and one of the big effects of that segregation is you cannot, it's so plain that except for just a couple very small exceptions, that there's wonderful trees on the west side and nothing on the east side. Now, Timon Street is fantastic. I love to drive down that street and see those sycamore
Yeah.
trees. Oh,
But
they're
let me
stunning.
tell you, we have trees in my neighborhood, but a lot of our trees have hollowed out. They are literally dead trees that are falling apart in slow motion
Right.
because they've not been maintained properly.
Right.
You know, so
right.
people come through mine in the fruit belt and oh yeah, we have we have trees. We also have trees that are falling apart.
Right.
You know, consistently.
So-
So it's a matter of yes, you know, planting, but the smart design of what trees are supposed to go where, and then is the city going to maintain them or at least invest in a program where communities can try to help to take care of them.
And you can see there's a website called Tree Equity Score, and you can literally just see. We look on one side of Main Street, that area it shows all green, and you can look up the score by census block. But just looking at it from the whole citywide, that side is all
Right.
green, and the side on the east side is mostly orange, meaning there's a tree deficit.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So I feel like that's so big. We just talked about the health ramifications,
That's
the
right.
mental health ramifications are all huge about
Absolutely.
trees and also just about green space. So
Yeah.
that is where, it just will benefit us in every kind of way
Yep.
to go ahead and fill it up. Beside the fact that we didn't even mention, it costs less than half the price, and then you don't
Exactly.
have that big, huge maintenance thing that is about redoing it every
Exactly.
say 30 years.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to be faced with
No.
ripping everything all apart. In Boston, we were talking about Boston because Boston is the other emerald necklace, and I did live there. And I wasn't there when they had the big dig, and that was a big trauma for the city because it was so much construction. So why would you put yourself in a position to have to do it again and again
Yeah.
and again?
Exactly.
No, it is very short-sighted. It's only the people who are going to cash in that think that's a good idea.
Right.
yeah.
So we know better. We know
Exactly.
better. So what do we want people to do? How can people help and get more involved? Let's talk about that.
Well, there has to be a conversation. I mean, if people don't understand what the issue is, everybody's entitled to their feelings, right? Because I have people tell me all the time, oh, I love the fruit belt. And I'm like, do you? Because if you love the fruit belt, you would care about what our people there are going through.
Yes.
So I have a tough time with people telling me, oh, you love the fruit belt. Yeah, I know you have fond memories of it, but that's not the point. Can we have a conversation about what happened when your people got to leave and my people got to stay behind? If we can have a conversation in real time about what that has been and how it has affected our community and the communities around us, then we can begin to plan together. We can begin to understand how we can help each other.
Well, and I also feel like one of the things is just a plain, simple thing about our elected officials paying attention to what the people want, because it has been very clear, although we talked about this a little bit before we
Yeah.
started the show, that, this is very controversial, and there's a lot of people who sort of went along with, oh, it's already been decided, and why are, we won't get all that money if we don't do it that way or everything. Well, that doesn't have to be that way. And it requires people to stand up and have a backbone, and it requires our elected officials to do what the people need, because I do not see people clamoring for the Band-Aid approach. I see them going along and trying not to tick off their people in elected spots that they
Right.
don't want to tick off.
Yeah.
That's what they're more about. They don't want to offend or annoy the people who feel like we already made up our minds. Let's just do it. And this was the way it was presented when it was very first presented.
Right.
Sort of like, oh, this is what we're doing. And then people, and I remember seeing, Facebook videos and things where people like, why is there nobody here? Why are they not telling us? Why are they not making it plain and easy to understand? Well, because they're going to say, oh, we had the community outreach. Well, here's the community. And I've seen the community. And the
Exactly.
community has been scrambling for years
That's right.
to try and get people. And I know, Dennice, you've been so
Yep.
much a part. I've been part of it, but, not
Yeah.
as directly involved because there's so many issues, but they're all connected.
Yeah.
And so this it's all about, with the Western New York Peace Center, we have these different task forces. So it's related to, environmental justice, racial justice, even gender justice. Actually, it was women. It was a women's group. That the Buff State study group. Or that discipline that had the
panel.
the panel that you just had with 5 women on it.
That's right.
And I was when I mentioned about the Church Women United, that was women again
That's
who
right.
said, this is against our interests. This is racially motivated, and it's bad for the people.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's bad for the families.
Yeah.
Because women know. That's why educating women is probably the biggest single indicator of the quality of life that people are going to have in various places in the planet.
Yep.
So we need people to check out Eastside Parkways Coalition.
Right.
Yep.
We need you to get involved.
Yes.
Come to the meetings. If you have questions, again, come and have a conversation. But, don't sit back and pretend like if, we just do whatever we're told to do. We should just take whatever we're given.
No.
That's not appropriate. I never advise people to just take whatever you're given just because that's what somebody decides you should have.
Right.
Yes, it's nice to get a gift, but guess what? Holiday time, I treat myself and go get what I want first, and then whatever I get after that, I'm like, cool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I will re-gift some things.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I've been looking to see, too.
Yes.
Is EastsideParkwaysCoalition.com.
Yes.
Yep.
Can you talk about the meetings a little bit?
So the meetings, I can't remember the schedule, but I know it's on the website because since I live in Baltimore, I can't always
no.
make the meetings. But they are, I think, the 1st and the 3rd. Thursdays.
Yes.
And they were held at St. Philip's Episcopal
Yes.
Church. Not sure if they're still there.
Tomorrow.
And,
yes.
Tomorrow?
and also at
Delavan Grider.
Delavan Grider.
Yes.
So I think they alternate between
right.
those locations.
Yes.
And it's definitely welcome to the public. And I say, get in where you can fit in. If you
That's
can't
right.
make the meetings, because I can't make the meetings. I'm teaching actually on those
Yeah, well,
evenings.
you live in Baltimore, I forgot. Right.
You can still get involved in many other aspects in the activities and tasks that Eastside Parkways Coalition is doing.
Yep. And check out the website. Check out the
Yes.
information that's
Yes.
available.
Yeah.
Yes. The website is stunning. I want to say it's so well put together. Eastside Parkways Coalition, all spelled out, no commas, no periods or anything, just until .com. So it's Eastside Parkways Coalition, all run together, .com. And it's a beautiful website, and it really lays out. You can't look at that website and not be convinced. Is my
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
It's just such an obvious thing to me that I just don't even see how the arguments can even be made on the other side. But, I guess I've heard them, and people, they thought that would be a good solution. But, and I'm in a big hurry a lot of the time. Yes, I can own that. But so we know that 5 more minutes is not going to. So bottom line, thank you for saying that. Any bottom line that you want to add?
Always
Dennice?
prioritize the health of people. Always.
Yes.
You're talking about that 5 extra minutes, and I get it, right? Because we have
ridiculous.
lifestyles where we're required to get through the days very quickly, but it's got to be prioritizing the health of people always.
So I want to say absolutely so true, and it's such a slam dunk when you look at it. So people should go to EastsideParkwaysCoalition.com, see what
Yep.
the next thing is,
Yep.
and be part of it.
Yep.
Help, just do your little part. Nobody can do everything, but
Yep.
everybody can do something.
Yep.
Yep.
But this is a plain one, and I want to say I am so grateful to both of you. Dr. Jennifer Roberts, your book, I have to get your book. I know that's going to be a great, great book. And so people, you can see it on the website, but it's Buffalo's Emerald Necklace. is it, and it's so clear.
Yeah, it's set to be published late next year.
Oh, is it next? Oh, okay. So you can't buy it yet.
And you can't buy it yet.
Oh, gee,
Can't buy it
darn,
yet.
I was all
Yeah.
ready to get it.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll be getting it. We'll
Yeah.
be getting it when it finally comes out.
Yes.
Next year, which is, we know
Yep,
it.
yeah.
it's
Getting
like
some
this.
inside scoops
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want to thank you so much.
Thank
Dr.
you for having me
Jennifer.
here.
And Dennice, so great to see you.
I
You're
appreciate
such
you. Thank
such a
you.
wonderful ally and leader, community leader, making sure
appreciate you.
and speaking truth. So we're all in this together. We know that. So this is Talking Peace, and together we've been talking peace in truth and love. Thank you so much. That's a
you.
wrap.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah, that's